What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start the show by being transparent. And yesterday, I went the wrong way. Monday started off 4-0. Yesterday, lost both baseball games I played. And WNBA, I did cash the Lynx plus 140 to win the series. I lost the under in that game. And I also ended up playing Liberty minus 16.5, which was not even close. So, baseball for the playoffs has kind of been back and forth. I know that sitting around 500 marks. So I need to do a little better there. College football, I think I'm now 22-10, but still off that loss. Need to pick it up. And WNBA playoffs, I believe now 7-3. So we'll talk about a little bit of everything here today. And we got our good friend Mr. Rob Veno to help us out. Rob, it's good to have you in here. How have you been? How's everything been going for you?
Things are good, Skee. The football weekend, especially Saturday, was very spotty for me. College football has been strange. Really, it's gone like extremes, right? Extremely good, not so good. Extremely good, not so good. So we're a little back and forth in college football. But we did start this week off right last night by the skin of my teeth. Under 55.5, got to 55. Can you believe I played an under? But I did, and it went overtime and still got under. So we'll take it. I too was on the wrong side of Lynx Sun under, but I did cash the series. We talked about the series, right? I actually had both underdogs last night because Connecticut was plus price, but Lynx plus 160 and the baseball. Boy, I thought I was easy, Ski. I had minus half run first five with the Padres 6-1. Dodger Grand Slam 6-5. I mean, you got to hang on for dear life, but we did. So 2-1 yesterday. Good start to the week. And we look to continue. It's nice to have like college football midweek here. So we got something every single day: football, playoffs, WNBA, NBA starting. I was looking at some preseason last night. I think eventually, I don't know if you started your NBA previews or not yet, but eventually I'll hop on with you. Maybe we could preview a little NBA before it gets going.
Yeah, I didn't do anything as far as previews yet, but yeah, we can absolutely do that. And man, that baseball, I said the game would be. I like the first five over in the Mets game. I think they wiggled out of something in the second inning, but as soon as the fifth inning ended, runs galore. Like, and then the Dodger game, I bet the full game under. Or no, I bet the first five under, and that just got blown up, got blown to bits. And after that second inning, no more runs scored. So it's tough for me yesterday. But let's see if we can clean it up here today. Casey says, now Rob want to wear silver blue. What color is that, Rob? She's been waiting on that silver blue.
Yeah. We'll get back to shirt colors eventually, maybe when NBA starts, but right now we'll try and just get you something extra in your pocket.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. Saturated says there's only 6 undefeated against the spread teams in college football. Illinois is one of them. He says to take them over Purdue. Don't think we'll talk about that game, but I appreciate you sharing. And he does say 13 days to NBA, so less than 2 weeks. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. That's where we make the big bucks. So let's get into it for today here, Vino. We have 4 MLB games, and we'll start with Phillies and Mets. Have the Mets as the short favorite here, Quintana versus Suarez. And let me just pull this back up here. So, looking at the last 5 starts for Ranger Suarez, hasn't been great at all. 4.47 innings pitched, giving up about 3 runs. And Quintana, he's been the opposite. He's been pretty much lights out. It's only been one game out of the last 5 where he gave up a run. So last 5 starts, 6.2 innings pitched, giving up about 0.4 runs. Quintana, I don't think I have to worry too much about, or I know I don't have to worry too much about his splits. His postseason ERA is below 3. He's had what 6 games. His ERA is 2.92, so I like that for him. Ranger Suarez, Rob, he's a guy who I just gotta say, in general, he's a guy I don't trust. I look at his recent performance; it's not great. I look at his splits; they're kind of the same home and road. But what does surprise me is he's been good in the postseason. He's 3-1 with a 1.62 ERA. In 9 games he's pitched in a postseason. That is extremely surprising to me because I just don't view Suarez as that great of a pitcher. So if I trust Quintana, I'm either looking towards the Mets side, but if you tell me I can trust Suarez too in the postseason, the under becomes appealing. How are you viewing Phillies and Mets?
Well, I was out and about early today, Ski, and I can tell you right here outside of Philadelphia, there's zero faith in this team to win this game tonight. I mean, they're ready to their path to the Ben Franklin Bridge has already started. They're ready to jump. No faith in Ranger. And the Phillies are this happened in baseball last year, and I feel like it's happened far more than often over the course of the last 10 years or so, where you get these teams like the Phillies who actually wish the World Series was played back in June when they were the best team going. But since the All-Star break, they're mediocre at best. The pitching has slumped. Ranger Suarez was tremendous early, not good late. A lot of talk here that they want to see Zach Wheeler in there tonight because it's a do or die situation. I don't think that'll happen. Wishful thinking more than anything. But I don't know. The Phils, to me, I'd rather ride the hot team in the playoffs. And the Mets are super hot right now. It just doesn't matter who's up in that lineup. And against this lefty, although Ranger Suarez, I will point out, as recently as September 21st, which is only 2 weeks ago, he had a decent outing against the Mets. 5 innings, only 2 runs allowed. Got out of a little bit of trouble, but only 2 runs allowed. If he could do that tonight, Phil stand a chance. I trust the other side, Quintana, way more. I trust the bats way more. I think the Met bullpen matches up real well. So for me at the short price, I think it would have to be Mets. Didn't play, but I think I am going to be involved with the Mets here. And we'll see what happens. It just seems to me like this one's pointing their direction in all facets of the game.
I don't think I talked to you about it, but I mentioned it previewing these games. I got the stat from my guy Sharpie, but the Mets versus the top pitchers for the Phillies, which is Nola and Wheeler, they're now 14-3 out of the last 17 meetings. So they don't fear either one of those guys. I don't think it matters if you go and put Wheeler out there on the mound. The Mets don't care. They're just fine with either one of those guys being out there. So I'm disappointed in myself for not getting to the window with the Mets, even though I was talking about it. But here, I would agree. I would look towards the Mets side or stay off as far as the side is concerned. The chat not really liking it. Oh, Saturated likes the Mets. He says he's on the Mets today. Not a whole lot of talk about this game, but um, I'll ask you this, Rob. Do you feel the same way about Suarez as me? And do you think we can trust these bullpens?
Well, the Phillies bullpen has been untrustable for a little while now. Last night, as you mentioned, the Mets kind of broke it open late in the game. I think they got a 2-run single off of Nola in the 6th. And then after Nola, all the other 3 runs were scored off bullpen. So I don't know that I trust bullpens in this game, Ski. The Phillies went through some arms last night, Alvarado included. Boy, I don't know. I looked at the total 7.5, and I don't think I could get to under, to tell you the truth. I really don't, because I think there could be a little late game scoring. Or if Suarez doesn't have it, I feel like Mets could get to him early as well. Mets don't want to go back to Philly and play a game 5. That doesn't mean they win. It just means that, it's a little extra to the handicap. Mets at home, that crowd's really berserk. So we'll see. I do like the Mets side, though. I think overall 9 innings, they're probably the right way to go here.
All right. Good stuff. Mark says no side, but he wants to face Suarez as well. We'll keep it moving. Next game, we have 907, 908, Guardians and Tigers. You have Cobb versus Montero. And this total, this total did not move. It opened 7. It's sitting steady at 7. Looking at both of these pitchers, Cobb, he hasn't been, or my bad. Let me get back over here. I don't think we've seen too much of Cobb. Yeah, Cobb has only had 3 starts. I'm trying to look up his last 5 starts. There's only been 3. 5.45 innings pitched, 2.33 runs. Montero, last 5 starts, he's been better than I think his season numbers um, look like. 5.2 innings pitched, 1.8 runs. Just looking here, let me get to Montero because I'm pretty sure, and he is at home. His splits were crazy too. So at home, he is a little bit better, 4.09 ERA compared to on the road, 5.89. So I guess that bodes well for him here. He has pitched in the postseason once. He only pitched 2 innings, and I don't think he gave anything up there. For Cobb, he has pitched in the postseason twice. He has a 1.54 ERA. And looking at his splits, like I said, it's only 3 games, so I don't really want to look at those splits. But looking at all these numbers, Montero seems to be in better form than his season long numbers indicate. Cobb, he's been in the playoffs before, and they must trust him throwing him out there today. I know that if the Guardians are going to win, it's most likely going to be an under game. I want to try to get there with under here, or I think the Guardians would probably be the right side. How are you viewing Guardians or Tigers?
Yeah, I got a client recommendation here. Skee slight, but I did play the Guardians. I think a lot of the stuff that you said there, I kind of view the pitching matchup where starters are concerned as, if you want to give Montero the benefit of the doubt, I would say it's an even starting pitching matchup, right? Maybe they go toe to toe. If Montero's on, I think it's the right thing to do. If your manager AJ Hinch, to pitch him in front of the home crowd rather than pitch him on the road. But Alex Cobb's playoff experience is really, really good here, and his arm is fresh. Like you say, only 3 starts. He's had some injury trouble in the past, but looks like he's been pretty good, in pretty decent form in the 3 starts. So I like that matchup even. And from there, I want the Cleveland Indian bullpen the last 4 innings of this game. I know Clase gave up the 3-run homer the other day. That's more of a mirage than a reality, at least in my mind. Hopefully it doesn't stick in his head and hurt him the rest of the series. Credit to Kerry Carpenter for hitting that home run the other day. But I do like the Indians bullpen to be locked down last 4 innings. And I think there's a little more offense on that side. So once I viewed this starting pitching matchup, and I'd even give a slight edge to Cobb, just based on been there, done that a lot more than Montero has. And Montero's kind of a converted reliever here. So I'm on the Cleveland side. I thought the price was cheap enough. It was almost pick 'em, or almost even money. So I'm on that side, Skee. Like I say, slight play, but I'm with the Guardians here based on bullpen and offense.
And I can't. I mean, that's the same side I'm looking towards. So maybe I need a little bit more time. I think with baseball, unless we really hammer some things out here. But Cleveland, that would be on my short list for this game. Next up, we will go with 909, 910. Yankees and Royals. Looks like Smith versus Lugo. And this is one where the total did open up 8.5 and drop down to 8. Looking at the last 5 starts for both of these pitchers. For Smith, about 4.9 innings pitched, 2.4 runs allowed. Lugo, 5 innings pitched his last 5 starts on average and giving up 1.4 runs. Looking up a little bit closer, we have Lugo, who's pitched in the playoffs 4 times. He has a 1.42 ERA. Not a whole lot of innings he's pitching. Only 6.1 innings pitched out of those 4 games, but he's doing a solid job for the time that he's out there. And then looking at his splits, he is a little better on the road than at home. So I guess maybe I'd worry about that a little bit here today, or I wouldn't like it, is kind of what I would prefer to say. For Smith, he's pitched in the postseason 3 times, and he has not been good. He's pitched 3 times in the postseason, only made it 2.1 innings with an ERA of 11.57. So that doesn't sound like the most trustworthy guy. Looking at home road splits, this is where it's crazy. Look at the games played. Yeah, about enough games played. So the on the road, 1.39 ERA. He's been amazing. At home, 4.5. He is on the road today. He has that going for him. So when I think about this game, I mean, if he'll pitch like how he's pitched on the road all year and more like his last 5 starts, I guess, than what he's done in the playoffs, maybe it's redemption time for Smith to start this game. And then if we can get Lugo to continue what he's done in the postseason, give us a couple innings, and let the bullpens handle the rest. Kansas City still, I mean, they hit a little bit, but still a team that I don't trust the bats. I'm thinking under 8 is the play in this game. Can you talk me off, or how are you viewing Yankees and Royals?
I couldn't talk you off because I kind of like the Royals at the underdog price. And it's really based on Seth Lugo. Couple of things here, Skee, really quick. He pitched against the Yanks back on September 10th. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 10 Ks. So the other start he had this year wasn't good. I could go the opposite way. That was 7 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs. But when you go to the guys in the Yankee lineup that are facing Seth Lugo tonight, let me just run down their career statistics off of this guy. Juan Soto's like one of the best against Seth Lugo lifetime. 4 of 16, 250 average. Stanton, 3 of 14. That's 7 for 30 combined. Jazz Chisholm, 1 of 11. That's 8 for 41. Gleyber Torres, 3 of 11. That's 11 for 52. Aaron Judge, 0 for 8. Those 5 guys right there are 11 for 60 against Seth Lugo in their careers. Don't touch them. Haven't touched him. Don't know that they'll touch him tonight. The only guy that does hit him fairly decently is Alex Verdugo, looking here at 3 for 7, 429 average, 7 at-bats, maybe a small sample size. But when you're taking – and the Yankees aren't the hottest lineup in the world either at this point in time. It's been that way for a while. So you get a Royal home crowd with a home playoff game for the first time. I think that juices up the team a little bit. And – just like last game, it was kind of proven that sometimes all it takes is Bobby Witt Jr. offensively to win a game for them. I know their offense isn't great, but I do trust Lugo in this spot way more than I trust Clark Schmidt. And I think what he's done against these top Yankee hitters, those are pretty impressive numbers, 11 for 60 against those 5. So I'm going to try the Royals because it is a plus price. If they were favored here, I might back off a little bit, but it could even be a first 5 play, Skee, to tell you the truth. Maybe first 5 might be a little bit smarter than full game. Keep the Royal bullpen out of it, although they've been pretty good. But in some way, shape, or form, I don't have it yet, but in some way, shape, or form, I think I'll be involved with KC. I do prefer the plus price. So I think first 5, I'm going to look it up as I'm talking here.
You're looking quick, for the money line, right?
Yeah, they're probably a favorite, right?
It's minus 110.
So if I went run line first 5 and had to win it by 1-0, 2-1 or something,
you can get plus 130, I think it is.
You're getting back 130, yeah. So that I would try either one of those ways: Royals first 5 or Royals full game. That would be my recommendation. And I think maybe because you can count, well, you would think you could count on Lugo to be there for the first 5. Maybe the plus 30 looks more appealing.
So my question to you would be, I mean, just talking about that minus a half versus the money line. I mean, the Royals have been a team where the bats can disappear. I know you said you don't really trust Schmidt. I know his record in the playoffs is not incredible, but do you worry about the bats for Kansas City if you have that minus a half, or you just think Schmidt is that untrustworthy?
Yeah, I think in my mind, and this is how I think, Skee, and it might be different from a lot of people. In my mind, I think if KC in first 5 can get to 2, they probably cover a minus a half, just based on what Lugo's done against those guys and what he did, the 7 scoreless back on September 10th with 10 Ks. So obviously he's got something figured out with them. And 2 isn't a lot to ask for a team. If they could get me 3, they probably really get the job done here. But if you don't like that theory and you'd rather go full game and still take big price, thinking that maybe the Yank bullpen gets burned out here too because Schmidt can't go that long, that's an idea as well. But the more I talk to you about it, the more I think I'm going to end up on Kansas City minus a half plus 30 cents first 5.
So I heard you say you're not the biggest believer in that Yankees bullpen for today. That makes me think because I'm liking under in this game. Do I want the full game at 8? The first 5 is 4.5. I mean, we trust Lugo here. We trust Lugo in the spot. The question mark is Schmidt. And man, the only thing I'll say is the Royals, as much as I talk about, how much their bats can disappear, they did hit somebody recently. I'm forgetting exactly who it was. Um, they were pretty good as far as scoring in that game. And the last game, I think it ended 4-2. They scored early, and then the game kind of slowed down, shut down. It could absolutely go like that if Smith gives it up. Um, but then I hear like the worry about the relievers behind him. So I guess this is when I got to think about it a little bit more. I want one or the other, if not both. First 5 under, full game under. Um, any last push either direction from you, Vino?
I'm just trying to get you the KC run totals through the playoffs, right? Because they played Baltimore. Now, remember, they beat Baltimore 1-0 and 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
those were not good. They've gotten 5-4 against the Yankees, lose 6-5, win 4-2. Against the Yankees individually this year, KC's put up 4-5, 3-5, 4-4,
Wow.
5, 1-2 back in June 10, 11. So they might have enough in the tank here. I was going to look up their home road offensive splits just to see if they're a little bit better swinging the bats at home than they are on the road. But we'll take some time to do that. We can move on to the next game. Or if somebody has it in the chat, just put it out there.
Well, I see B Daddy doesn't trust the bullpen. He says they might fall apart. I'm gonna think about this game a little bit more, and then they're excited about this next game, or at least pretentious prodigy is. He says, "Dodgers, man, we'll talk about it." And might get a tiny story time with this one, but we don't know who the pitcher is yet for the Dodgers going up against Dylan Cease for the Padres. Um, this is the story time here, Rob. To start it off, okay. I didn't always like baseball. I used to work at Nordstrom, selling shoes, right? And I'll be going doing my thing, and I'm looking around. I'm like, why is everybody stressing? Why is everybody upset? Why is everybody mad? And they're sitting there watching the Dodger games on the iPad. They're looking at the score. The Dodgers, from even before I like baseball, seem to just always let the fans down. And I began to like baseball. I started watching it all the time, and they still continue to let everybody down. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this team, man. For whatever reason it is, they always have the talent on the team where it looks like they can make noise, and then they disappoint. So with an undecided pitcher going up against Cease, already down here, I can't help but think it's time for the Dodgers to go ahead and head home. Do you think the Padres are the right side in this game?
I'll give you short story time too, because my dad, who's now 84, Brooklyn Dodger fan his whole life since the 50s, the 40s, 50s, raised me as a Dodger fan in Connecticut. So I've been a Dodger fan all my life. And I'm talking to him the other day, and I won't use his language, but basically, I'm 84 years old. They won the Division 11 the last 12 years. Can they just give me one World Series before it's time to go? And I'm like, man, I don't know if they're going to get you this thing, because it's the same story every year, right? Win near 100 games, win 100 games, win 100 games, and sayonara. The only time they won was the COVID year. It's getting to be close to the Atlanta Braves. 14 straight division titles and only one World Series to show with Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. So it's not good. The one thing, if you're going to defend the Dodgers in this case, you would almost defend them as a fade of Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease has had 2 chances to pitch against this team within the last 2 weeks. He's only lasted 8 1/3 in those 2 starts, given up 8 earned runs, 11 hits. And 5 walks, so 16 base runners in 8 1/3. They're going to have to do it with offense, because I'll tell you what, they burnt their bullpen last night. The bullpen had to go. Walker Buehler did everything he could, and to his credit, I don't think Walker Buehler got hit that hard. It was like 6 grounders and a home run. in that big inning. There wasn't a lot of hard hit balls, but the pitching is going to be a concern here, Skee. There's no question about it. And if San Diego gets out on top and is able to get into their showmanship antics, it's going to be difficult. So I don't trust the Dodgers, but I had San Diego last night. As a Dodger fan, I'm like, I don't care. I got to win the money here. Let's play San Diego. And I almost feel that way again, but I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe an over. If they get to Cease, which they have twice within 2 weeks, if they get to Cease and figuring that San Diego is going to hit whatever type of patchwork rotation they throw out there, then maybe the total's a little too low here.
Well, I'll wait and see who's going to be pitching for the Dodgers, and even then, you know, Dodgers. It's hard to bet the under in their games. I'll just say that for me. Mark says Padres and Cease pay me. Shout out to my guy Chris. He does really good work. I know he's over there already previewing the NBA, still working on the WNBA. So shout out to my guy Chris. Make sure you check him out. Guys in the chat, well, Boofer says winning in 2020 isn't enough. You know,
No.
what have you done for me lately? Ain't that how they do to us, Rob, here as cappers every day?
Absolutely. I see it all the time. Veno's a doofus. Watch some games. Come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. I get it all the time. I have one bad day. It's a guy who always comes in whenever I have a really bad day and leaves comments. Never on a winning day. So no, Boofer, it's not enough. Not enough. Justin says, why you got to mention the Braves? Stay focused, Rob. The Braves catching strays, he says. KC as well. Not happy with the Braves shade. Joey
we got to compare our misery to somebody.
Yeah. You need company. Misery needs company. Dodgers focus on hitting. In the playoffs, better pitching trumps better hitting, in my opinion. I agree. Next year, I think Dodgers will pick up a pitcher to have Ohtani pitching, et cetera, et cetera. I think next year will be a lot better. See a couple more comments before we keep going. Appreciate David K says, good capping, fellas. Smash the like button, fam. Only 37 likes with 149 viewers. And I don't know. I think this viewer thing does both Twitter and YouTube together, because it says we're at 451 currently right now. So I think that's it. Let's keep it going. That's MLB. So we'll move over to a little bit of college football. That's all that we have for today. And then we'll talk about Thursday night football and WNBA finals for tomorrow. So for this one here, Veno, looks like we're looking at New Mexico State. I'm sorry. Got to remember to get the banners. Got to get the banners. New Mexico State, Jacksonville State. I don't think I've seen either one of these teams play this year. So I'm going to be looking up a couple things while I pass it. But the total market or people are liking it over. They pushed it up 2 points from 57.5 to 59.5. And we have an opener of a 20-point spread now pushed up to 21.5. So they have to win by 4 scores at least. I don't really like taking teams where you got to lay this many points here, Rob, especially teams that I haven't, that are not the top programs. Is this too many points for Jacksonville State here, or would there be a lack of defense? Do you agree with the market? How are you looking at New Mexico State and Jacksonville State?
Well, a couple things we know here. First of all, it's a conference game. But a couple things we know. New Mexico State is horrid. Right now, under the Guiders' leadership, first-year head coach Tony Sanchez, you guys from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas remember him. He coached UNLV for a couple of years, Tony Sanchez. He resurfaces here in Las Cruces with New Mexico State. Rebuild program, grassroots. They can't stop the run, Skee. They give up almost 6 yards a pop on the ground, and that's all Jacksonville State does. Rich Rodriguez, again, head coach at J-State. One of the fastest offenses as far as, running up to the line and getting snaps off. I think they're the 9th fastest seconds per play in the country. And they try to run the football down your throat, running quarterback, the whole works. And when they get going out of the chute, they're tough to come back on. The one thing I'll say about laying big points with him is that he doesn't slow the offense down in the fourth quarter. It's like they still have to go super fast if they're up 6 touchdowns. It doesn't matter to him. He's going to play the game that way. So you always have a backdoor possibility with him. There's been a couple of blowouts in Jacksonville State games so far this season. Remember, first game of the year, they were on an isolated game against Coastal Carolina, and Coastal Carolina just beat their ass 55-27. Game hit 82 points. And then Louisville whacked them around. But since then, last 2 games, 44-7, win by 37 points against Southern Miss, and then 63-24 last week, beat Kennesaw State by a bunch. And those 2 teams, Southern Miss and Kennesaw, New Mexico State fits right into that caliber. Horrible defense, not a ton of offense. They're horrible scoring away from home. They scored 40 points last week at home in a rivalry game against New Mexico. And if you go through their home logs, you'll see they've gotten 23 or more at home, but on the road, different story. So I don't know that you can trust their point scoring here. All that said, if you're going to back Jacksonville State, I tried to play first half over. Here, Skee, it was 30.5, but now it got to 31. I don't like doing that. Then I looked at full game over. It's a possibility. I see a little drop to 58.5 as we talk. And then there's always the Jacksonville team total. Can they push it over 42? Or can they get to 42? That's probably the most possible of all. Just playing the Jacksonville State side to run the football for 350 yards and score a bunch of points. But it's not worth a big risk to ask a team to score 42. I'll tell you right now, if you want to take a small shot at that, you do. But I think that's probably the best way to go when all said and done.
I see a 39.5 bet online for a team total for Jacksonville State. I know the guys in the chat are talking about it. B Daddy says he's pissed. It went up to 40, but you can still get a 39.5. It seems like we can trust Jacksonville State side. We're unsure, like you said, the home road splits as far as the scoring for New Mexico State. That would make me nervous to trust them to be a part of the full game total. I also Jacksonville State is going to run the ball. Yes, that's going to make the clock tick, but you think they're going to have major success, so it won't really be an issue. Correct?
Yeah, and they go so fast, Skee. It's not your traditional team that running means grind the clock. It's like they run a play and then they just run right back to the line of scrimmage and run it again within like 19, 20 seconds. So they're going fast. No matter how they're moving the football, they're always going fast. And this opponent gives it up in chunks. So it's not like you're running 4 yards first down. You may be running 19 yards, run back to the line, 6 yards. It goes a little quicker the way they play offense running the football.
All right, I think my lean after hearing the breakdown from Rob and just looking over a couple of things is over 39.5 team total for Jacksonville State. Just bank on them to do their part and then let the rest fall where they may. Boofer says Liberty wasn't worth 17 yesterday. Same with Jacksonville State. I think I will avoid a side for this one. That is today's games. Now I think we'll move it on over to tomorrow. We got 2 games to talk about there. And I guess do you care what order we go in, Rob?
I don't. Let's go to it.
Okay. So we'll do like this just because it's first on my list here. We'll move over to WNBA. And this one, Lynx at Liberty, opened up Liberty minus 5.5. They're now a 6-point favorite. Total open 159.5. It looks like 159. I believe the series price. I sent a picture to you yesterday. I should have looked it up again here today, but it was like minus, or I'll tell you specifically right here. Series price minus 280 for the Liberty, plus 240 for the Lynx. And I did, before the playoffs start, take the Lynx to win the championship at plus 335. So I do already have that in my pocket. This one is interesting. It's tough to me. Rob, I'll say this. The Liberty are really hungry. They just knocked out, the team that they, had their targets on, or their targets set on. So I can't help but think it could be a little bit of an exhale. But at the same time, you know, they want that championship. So I'm a little bit torn on how to feel about that. When I think about the Lynx, and also my bad, New York could be a little bit rusty. I know it wasn't 4 days off, but they've had a little bit of time off. When I think about Minnesota, they're a team that nobody thought would be here before the season started. They got a good collection of players from all over the world. They have depth, they have size, they have everything that they need to compete with this Liberty team, and they've shown that all throughout this year. They beat them 3 out of 4 games, including the Commissioner's Cup. So thinking about that, and then I think they have the better coach than Cheryl Reeve. I can't dismiss Minnesota in this matchup, no matter how hungry, how talented New York is. You're giving them 6 points for a team that they beat 3 out of 4 times this year. Minnesota, I mean, I don't think we have to worry about them being rusty. If anything, they come into this game, off a little bit more of a rhythm. I think Minnesota is the side. I think Minnesota plus the 6 points. I think they can potentially win outright. Catch New York maybe sleeping a little bit for that first game or not taking it as hard. Even if New York does come to play hard, Minnesota can win. So +6 is currently what has my attention. What are you looking at? I know it's early, Rob, but what's your early look on Lynx and Liberty?
Well, let's go right back to how you finished that by saying even if the Liberty does play hard, Minnesota could still win. I'll just go back to September 15th, looking these games up earlier this morning. That game was for the Liberty to clinch, I think, the #1 seed. Minnesota was chasing them down.
Right.
And so the Liberty were at home trying to clinch the #1 seed. And guess what happened? Minnesota won the game 88-79. So to your point, it very well could be that New York wants to win, but Minnesota could still win, or New York plays hard and Minnesota could still win. In that game, Breanna Stewart went crazy, 38 points in that game. They still lost by 9 because Sabrina only had 13 and she shot 4 of 21 in that contest. Terrible. I think there's the more I watch of her post-game stuff, Sabrina, I think to your point about fuel and motivation to win a title, I think if I see it in anybody's eyes on that team, I see it in hers. She seems to be pretty focused at this point in time, but it's a close series, Skee. Minnesota is just so underrated, so undervalued. And I know when we were going back and forth with text last night for a little bit, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad to hear you say that because I want to get to the Lynx. But I'm looking for reasons to get to the Lynx here because I do find them to be an undervalued team. They've been so good all season long. Best 3-point shooting team, right up there in overall field goal shooting, right up there in team defense. There's really no knocks you can have against Minnesota. They're good at forcing turnovers and scoring off of turnovers. Finished off a tough Connecticut team just now in 5 games. So there's plenty to like about them. Here's one thing I came up with. That's been a constant in every one of their games so far this year. And maybe we can play it again because it looks like we've got wiggle room. First half total here is 80.5. For whatever reason, all 3 of these games that they played started off with real hot, good shooting first halves. They've scored 84, 91, and 97 in their 3 games in the first half. Second half, there's been a little more attention to detail on the defensive side. In fact, Minnesota lost a game where they only scored 25 second half points against the Liberty. So there's been quite a difference between what happens first half offensively and what happens second half offensively. And I don't know that characteristic goes away here because it's funny in that Connecticut series, the last 3 games turned into offensive-minded games. I mean, I had under last night thinking, okay, they're going to get back to playing defense. Minnesota, Collier talked all about it. We got to lean on our defense, et cetera, et cetera. And it still turned out to be 165. So just looking at what's happened this year, I think maybe we can get in on over 80.5 first half. It looks pretty comfortable since the cheapest one they played all season, they got to 84.
85.5, right?
80.5.
80.5. Okay, yeah, that is a nice number. And when I think about it, in general, I like to think that series will start off a little bit more scoring and die down, especially in like the finals. That's kind of just how I view it. So maybe get in and get out, like Rob says, with that first half over. I'm looking a little bit more towards the side for the full game, and we'll see. We still have some time. That one doesn't go until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. So Mark agrees with you. He says he likes that first half over. And Sean says Courtney over 7.5 turnovers. He's not a fan of what he's been seeing from Courtney out there. And I gotta say, I'm not either. She can absolutely turn it around, but I'm not liking what I've been seeing either. So I'm with you there, Sean. Now, I think we're moving over to football. I think this is the last game we'll talk about here today. Um, we're making pretty good time, though. I think at least we haven't been. I thought I was gonna look up and say we've been on here for an hour, but no, only about 41 minutes. So we'll move to 49ers and Seattle. Opens up 3.5 favorites for San Fran. Hasn't really moved. Total sitting at, or I'm sorry, total opened 48 and has increased to 49. I'm going to be honest here, Rob. I didn't even look at this game until right now. I've been having success attacking football more like closer to game time or the day of, or starting to look at it then, rather than everybody. It's no secret. Everybody knows I'm a basketball capper. I think I'm at the point, Rob, where I'm done trying to act like I'm smarter than everybody in football. I need to jump ahead of the market and do all of this stuff. Uh, I'm not. I'm just fine, taking all the information I can get and then placing my wager. And this has been working out better for me. So when I look at this game, the first thing I think of is Seattle. I view Seattle as a team that is overvalued a little bit. Like they started off the season undefeated, right? But they didn't really play anybody, not real competition. Um, I know this is a big game, division game, etc. But Seattle is not a team that I have a whole lot of confidence in. I'll just say that. Same can be said for San Fran. I mean, coming into the year, they had a lot of things going on in the offseason, whether you're gonna pay IU, you're gonna do a lot of things going on. Now you just have injury after injury after injury. Um, they have a really tough schedule this year. It's not a whole lot to like for San Fran either. So if I think like that, maybe the total is correct. I view Seattle as a team that wants to get the job done through the air. I think that their offensive line could struggle versus San Fran's D line, but other than that, I think Gino will find some ways to be able to put up some points. And I don't think Seattle's defense is good enough to hold San Fran down either. So I think talking it out right now, Rob, I will be looking in the same direction as the market going over. And as far as the side is concerned, I think I gotta just I'll ask you, is there any way you can endorse either one of these teams on the point spread?
No, because I'm in complete agreement with you, Ski. I like over here. I know it's a high number, 49, but I think San Francisco showed against Arizona last week that you can play them. Their list of defensive injuries is crazy. And you're going to come back on a Thursday night and play. And to cap it off, it's Seattle's third game in 16 days. Who's the schedule maker that's forcing Seattle to play 3 games jammed inside of 16 days? It's crazy. And Seattle has injuries in that secondary that I know there's question marks next to a lot of these, but when you're coming back off of just a 3-day work week and then a game, it's difficult if you're hurt. And generally, those guys need all 6 to get back to be able to play on Sunday. So here you're asking them to do it quickly. But both offenses should be in full flight here. I think it's hard to get to a side because they both come off such miserable losses. Like Frisco loses a big lead in division to Arizona last week. That's a bad loss. And if you're them, you can't lose 2 division games in a row. You just can't. So I would lean San Francisco from that angle. However, Seattle comes home after playing a really, really good game against Detroit, especially offensively, where they were up and down the field all night, and they lose to the Giants. Give me a break. And they got a lot of their defenders back in that game. And the Giants without Malik Neighbors, without their top running back, Singletary, they moved the ball up and down like it was easy against Seattle. So, to your point, I agree with every one of them. San Francisco probably moves the ball at will here. Seattle probably moves the ball at will against them because they're just so banged up. Once Dre Greenlaw went out for the 49ers, kind of takes the heart and soul away from that linebacking core. It leaves Fred Warner, who's maybe the best linebacker in football, but he's got a question mark besides him. So I think Geno's going to move the ball. I believe Brock Purdy and company will move the ball, whether Kittle plays or not. I don't think that's going to matter too much. So before this thing gets any higher, Skee, because the next step after this is 51, where key numbers are concerned, and you just don't want to let it's a single NFL game on Thursday night. You don't want to let the public get to this and beat you out of a good price. So if you're going to play it like I am, you play it now at 49 and just sit back. And I know the rule is these Thursday night games go under, but it's real hard to make a case for this one staying under. It really is.
You know, I don't have it off the top of my head, but one of my friends pointed out to me maybe a week or two ago that these high totals going back to last year, like these 50 close to 50-point totals, have not been making it over. And I can't help but think, this year we've seen a lot. How do I say? Quarterback play hasn't been as good as in previous years. Um, that number does scare me. I want to look at a couple comments here, Rob. I did put some on the screen, but there was really some that caught my attention. So first, let's go to KC. She says, I think short week off a loss is good for good teams. You want to get back to your winning ways. I mean, are the 49ers going to be a good team this year? That's the question. I like the thought process. Any opinion from you on this here, Rob?
I just think the other side is off such a bad loss too. And I don't know, maybe KC's not considering Seattle as a good team, which I could, they're probably a mediocre team, but to come home and lose to the Giants on your home field, I mean, that's got to stick with you a little bit. And you get a second home game in a row in front of your home fans. So situationally, I think it evened out. Let me ask you guys this, especially you, Skee. Can we compare this matchup, Seattle, San Francisco, and with Seattle at home, off a bad offensive performance looking to get back? Can we compare it to Seahawks Lions Monday night a couple of weeks ago where they got the 70 points, I think 69, 42-27? Is it comparable 49ers Seahawks, Lions Seahawks?
Well, I think
Lions are probably better.
I think Detroit did have a lot of defenders hurt. Its defenders hurt in this game too. I guess it is comparable. But the only thing I'll say is the Lions and Seahawks, usually when they play the last few times, we've had fireworks every single time.
Mm-hmm.
This one being a division game, I think there's something to them having some, how do I say, comfortability facing each other or being, used to what the other is going to do. And 4 of the last 5 meetings, I want to say, none of them, only one has breached this number that we're looking at today. So maybe they just don't play that type of game versus each other. Yeah, familiarity. That's what I'm thinking of there.
There you go.
Appreciate you, G. Martinez. I don't know. That's just kind of how I view it. So I guess saying all this to say I'm starting to get scared of that total. And I know it's a short number at 3.5. I don't view 49ers as a team I want to be laying with too much this year. I know 3.5 is kind of close to just winning, but it's not a whole lot to like about this 49ers team for me. Joshua says, if it was -3, it would scare me. -3.5 is a play on here. Money line is -185. KC was -3.5 and only -165 against the Falcons. He says this is a Niners spot, typical buy low spot. Do you think the Niners have, I know they've been below expectations as far as how they perform, but do you think this is going to continue, or do you think that they will get it together and start to trend upwards? Like, let's just say like how Teddy talks about his stock watch or whatever you call it, and he says a team is going to be trending down or a team is going to be trending up. Do you think this 49ers team is going to be trending up? Like, how do you view this team right now?
So, do we want to be Meryl and catch the falling knife or whatever the heck it is? I think teams, the NFL is so much about depth. And when you have cluster injuries the way the 49ers do, I don't know that you can exactly get back immediately to being the team um, that you were maybe projected to be. Maybe when they get some players back. But I have to say that offensively, we thought in the beginning just because they didn't have McCaffrey that maybe the offense would be slowed down. But Mason has stepped in. He runs for like 100 every week. It doesn't matter behind that offensive line. So I think right now they're one-sidedly good, Skee, if I could put it that way. I think they're offense dominated. That's their anchor. That's their operational way of getting by right now. But defensively, I don't trust them anymore. I mean, I watched that Arizona game last week, and they're not that good on defense right now. They're just not. And neither is Seattle, for that matter. So we will see. I like both offenses in this case. I do. There's a lot of credence to what you said about divisional games and divisional motivation when both teams need it. And maybe even banged up defenses sometimes come up with big performances. So if you play over, that's what you're up against a little bit here, is that maybe motivationally they play, but I don't know. I just see these offenses are so powerful right now. Brandon Ayuk seems to be coming around all of a sudden. It was Jennings carrying the bulk of the load early. Ayuk, big game last week, back in the flow. I like points. I can talk myself into playing over.
Last thing I'm thinking of here, Rob. I mean, it's a huge game, right? For the 49ers season. They're right now in third in the NFC West after that loss to the Cardinals because the Cardinals have a tiebreaker. Seahawks 3-2, Niners 2-3. Seahawks win this game. It's looking really, really ugly for the 49ers. So when I start to think of it and I hear, I'm starting to feel what Joshua Alexander was saying here, like, this is a Niners spot. Like, you're getting everything in this game for the 49ers because they fought a 2-4 a couple games down in the division with the schedule that they have. Like, they have the biggest rest disadvantage out of any team this season. It's going to be done for them. So if you've been on the Niners, if you have any faith in the Niners this season, this is the spot that you bet on. You agree?
Yeah, and I would almost say, before I say which way I'd bet it, I'll say this. If you're in the Seattle locker room and you're sick of the 49ers winning the division, and if you win this
shut them
game, you
up.
can put them out of their misery, you're getting everything you can get out of them too.
Good point.
It's for Frisco, if they lose, it would be 0-3 inside the division. I didn't realize that they already lost because they lost that game to the Rams, right? They blew that game late to the Rams as well. So it's twice they've had leads, twice they've lost. So they're not real trustable. If you think it's a 49er spot, here's where I'd be comfortable. I got to look it up because sometimes I don't like laying big price, but I was going to say money line. I don't like laying 3.5 in this game because for some reason 27-24 sticks out in my head in this game. I could very well see 27-24. The money line with San Fran, you got to lay about $1.80, $1.85. That's an area I'm not comfortable, but some guys don't mind it. If they really feel it's a Niners spot, they'll go ahead and lay it. People do it in baseball every day. But 3.5 Skee, that's nerve-wracking to me to lay it with San Francisco in this game.
I think we did have a pretty good discussion on this game. I think we touched on a lot of good things. I know I'm not going to be able to talk to you about them tomorrow, so that's why we wanted to get a head start on these games. But we do have time. This game does not go until tomorrow, so I'll think about it a little bit more. We'll be back here, talking about it again tomorrow, probably with the ticket in my pocket, and then, we'll let the chips fall where they may. Last question is there any reason to like a first half? I'm not a big, first half kind of guy, so I don't have any reason to tell you yes or no, Brittany. Anything from you there, Rob?
I would just say that I think they both have the same exact first half motivation. I think Seattle let their fans down on Sunday, losing to the Giants, a game you're supposed to win. So they're going to come fired up. San Francisco's going to come fired up. It would be, the discussion on a side in this game truly is one side of the fence, other side of the fence, because every argument you could throw San Francisco's way, you could throw back Seattle's way. It's really hard for me to decide what's a good side play in that game.
Yeah, fair enough. And Rich Homie, he says, Book's begging us to take Seattle at 3.5. Give me the Niners, he says. And
Go get them, Rich.
yeah, we'll see. I wish you luck for now, unless I end up on the other side. But I think we did good here, Rob. Now we can move it on over to best bets. And before we share, I'll ask you if there's anything that you would like to promote. And even if you don't have a best bet, it's no pressure to give one. Maybe you want to just either you can give a best bet, you want to recap some things you're liking or short list, however you want to do it, and just let the people know where they can find you or anything you got going.
Yeah, real quick. Skee always has the link in the description. So it's not real hard to find where my stuff is at wagertalk.com. Guys, one more time where Wagertalk is concerned. If you're looking for full coverage and analysis on any sport, every game, every day, do it all over there. MLB, UFC. It really doesn't matter where you want to go. They've got a show for it. So you want to pick it, and all that's for free. So just go over and become a member. All you got to do is drop your email address. You can get access to all the free stuff offered there. If you're looking for my plays, obviously they're over there on my page. I'm going to say this, Skee. I'm glad you gave me the option here. And you always do, and I never really take you up on it, but I'll take you up on it here. For those who are going to play early baseball, and this one goes in about 30 minutes, I do like the Indians. But just the way, or the Guardians, excuse me. Just the way I described it, I made it a slight play for myself and a slight client release. So there's one already up for you. I like the Guardians. And then secondly, I would say in that same vein, since I'm not going to be here tomorrow, and I like this a little stronger, I'm going to play the first half over in the Lynx and Liberty game, just based on season-long trends and something that Skee said, which I agree with. In playoff basketball and series basketball, the first game is usually the loosest as far as offense is concerned. Then things tighten up. Although that didn't happen in these last couple of series. It got a little looser as it went on. But I like the way these two have shown me 84 or better in every first half. And we only have a number of 80.5 staring at us. So it looks like we got some wiggle room. Give me that as an even stronger play. Lynx, Liberty, over 80.5 first half.
Good stuff from Veno. And he gave you a couple plays, and I'm gonna be honest. Well, first of all, I'll say you guys know you find all my work at wagertalk.com as well. Pretty much been rolling in every sport except baseball has been kind of back and forth, so we do need to pick it up there. And I know I went 7-2 this past week in NFL after I think weeks 3 and 4, or weeks 3 and 2 were not so nice to me. So doing pretty good in football right now. You guys know where you can find all my stuff. I did not play anything yet. So what I'm going to do is share my short list. And what that looks like is get here to baseball. For baseball, I'm looking at that New York and Kansas City game. I'm either first 5 under 4.5 or full game under 8. Pretty sure I'm letting this Cleveland and Detroit pass me by, even though I do, I'm interested. I'm interested, but not enough to play it. That Mets and Phillies one, I am going to think about it a little bit more. If I come to the conclusion, Suarez playoffs numbers are enough for me to trust him in that game, I will be playing the first 5 under, and I will not be involved in that Dodgers and Padres game. No way. So college football, I need some more time, but that's my short list for baseball, and I'll be back here to talk to you guys about the games for tomorrow. So before we do dip out of here, there was one more question from the chat here, Veno, from Boofer. Serious question for Veno, determines if he's invited back. Thursday night football is going to be a throwback Thursday. Who has the better throwback, Seattle or San Francisco?
If you go back as far as I do, it's Seattle for sure. Those ones that Jim Zorn and Kenny Easley and those guys in the 80s wore, Kurt Warner. Not the quarterback, Kurt Warner, guys. There was a running back out of Penn State named Kurt Warner. I like the Seattle old throwbacks. Who am I missing here? Dave Craig, the quarterback who led the NFL in fumbles. I like those old throwbacks from Seattle.
Hopefully that was the right answer, so we can get Rob Veno back here, Boofer. Yeah, there we go. He says Veno wins, and Joshua agrees. So we can get Veno back here on Friday, or no, next Thursday. He said for the Throwback Thursday. So appreciate you, Veno, taking the time to cap these games with me. Definitely helps out with the process of trying to find winners. You guys in the chat, we appreciate you as well. A lot of great cappers and great people. And until tomorrow, best of luck on all your action. Good luck if you tell. We'll catch you then. Peace.